Even though What If Marvel Never Sold Its Rights, it's on my YouTube channel, didn't do that great, I decided to keep going and do What If Marvel Never Sold Its Rights Phase 2, and I promise it will be better. But if you don't like it, I'll respect your opinion. So, let's get started. The first product in Phase 2 is called Captain America the Winter Soldier. I won't change anything about the movie because that movie was great. I am not going to change a perfectly good movie because that movie was great and I'm not changing anything about the movie. But I would change the post-credit scene. So, let's see your post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, a guy puts on a mask and finds the person who he wants to brainwash next because brainwashing Bucky Barnes was a fail. Captain America, you'll fall for my trap one day. One day. Very, very soon. And that was Captain America the Winter Soldier. And now it's time for the next movie. The second product in Phase 2 is called Thor the Dark World. I'm not going to change anything about the movie, but I will change one thing about the main villain. I will give the Accursive a comic accurate design because fans complained that the Accursive was too black and white. And also, since I made Kang the Conqueror be the big bad of my What If Marvel Never Sold Its Rights video, I'm going to make him be working for Kang the Conqueror, just like the whole Thanos and Ronan thing. And Thor and Loki defeat the Accursive, and the Accursive dies, and the movie ends with Thor and Loki going their separate ways for a little while. And that was Thor the Dark World. And now you get your two post-credit scenes. In the post-credit scene, Loki has a vision that Asgard is going to be destroyed by their long-lost sister, Hela. Second post-credit scene. In this post-credit scene, General Ross is planning on his next attack on the Hulk. Then a military soldier comes in. "What's our next attack, sir?" he asks. "We're not attacking today. We're gonna hire someone to attack," says General Ross. "And what's his name, sir?" asks the soldier. "You'll know for sure, but I will tell you what he looks like. He is a mutant with attitude." And that was Thor the Dark World. And now it's time for the next movie. The third product in Phase 2 is called Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. It could be like the Insomniac game and the sequel to the Amazing Spider-Man movie and the Sam Raimi sequel, all three of them mixed together in one movie. And just like in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2 movie, Peter Parker will quit being Spider-Man after he lost his powers. And as you saw earlier in this poster, the main villain in this movie is Dr. Otto Octavius, or Doc Ock for short. And yes, Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, will be in the movie. And he comforts Spider-Man that his powers will come back no matter what, but he has to fight Doc Ock before it's too late. Spider-Man and Daredevil will both fight Doc Ock. Doc Ock both beats up Spider-Man and Daredevil. Daredevil tries to fight back, but Doc Ock was too powerful and wraps Daredevil around with his tentacles. Spider-Man will have to figure something out without powers. So he finds a bucket of water, or goes up a ladder and dump it on Doc Ock, causing his tentacles to now function. Daredevil thanks Spider-Man for saving his life before it was too late, and Spider-Man appreciates it, and the police will come and arrest Doc Ock in a few minutes. Spider-Man and Daredevil go hang out for a while in the Statue of Liberty. A few weeks later, Peter Parker is working on something in his room, web shooters, because he realized that he can actually shoot webs out of his wrists. And Spider-Man tests out his web shooters swinging around in New York City. And the movie ends with Spider-Man swinging around in New York City. And that was Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. And no post-credit scene. The fourth product in Phase 2 is called Fantastic Four. Here are your casts for the movie. You have Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, Tracy Lynn Cruz as Sue Storm, Andrew Gray as the Human Torch, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as the Thing. And during an outer space adventure, the team got hit by cosmic rays, and they're all changed forever, and they all have powers. The main villain in this movie is Doctor Doom. And the Fantastic Four, led by Reed Richards, are gonna fight Doctor Doom. Johnny Storm will grab Doctor Doom by the waist, flying him around and dropping him to a car, and then Doctor Doom gets up. Sue Storm goes invisible, beating up Doctor Doom while Doctor Doom was not knowing who is hitting him. Reed Richards uses his stretchy abilities to punch Doctor Doom in the face and his mask breaks. And the Thing will take the finishing hit by running up to Doctor Doom saying, "It's clobbering time!" and punches him, causing him to hit a bus while Doctor Doom breaks his bones. And everyone from New York City celebrates Doctor Doom's defeat, and the Fantastic Four are so amazed that they're now famous heroes. And the movie ends with a team going to a cafe. And that was Fantastic Four. Post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, a man is flying around in his surfboard while he stops for a moment thinking about who will be coming. And then he says, "Galactus." And now it's time for the next movie. The fourth product in Phase 2 is called Wolverine. It could be like X-Men Origins Wolverine, but everything would be a lot different. Yes, the first act of X-Men Origins Wolverine can stay. You know, the whole war situation. The main villain in this movie won't be this weird-looking Deadpool. Instead, the main villain in this movie will be Omega Red, and he escaped from X-Men prison. We're also going to keep the casting for Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. After Wolverine killed Omega Red, Charles Xavier comes and says, "Wow, you have good attitude. Would you like to join a team called the X-Men?" Wolverine says he'll think about it, and he walks away. Charles Xavier says he'll join real soon. And now it's time for the post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, Wolverine is getting beer at a bar. And that's where General Ross comes in and says this. "Hey, you must be Logan, right?" "Yeah, bub. Who's asking?" says Wolverine. Or Logan, I should say. Sorry. "Are you a good hunter?" asks General Ross. "Heck yeah, I hunt lots of stuff," says Logan. "Do you think you can hunt down a Hulk?" asks General Ross. "Sure, I'll hunt down whatever you ask. How much you're paying?" asks Logan. "I'll let you know once you kill him," says General Ross. And that was Wolverine. And now it's time for the next movie. The fifth product in Phase 2 is called Hawkeye. The reason why I'm giving Hawkeye his own solo movie, because, well, it's Hawkeye, and he deserves to have a movie. It will explain his backstory of how he became an archer and Ronin. And he gets trained by Taskmaster. Hawkeye finds his long-lost older brother, Trickshot, and they will fight for a while, and then they realize they have to work together to fight a villain. And the main villain in this movie would be Crossfire. And also, Black Widow's in the movie too. And the trio fight Crossfire, and Crossfire is defeated and arrested, and Black Widow asks if Hawkeye can join Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he said he'll think about it and walks away along with his brother. And the movie ends with Hawkeye and his brother going to separate ways for a little while. And now it's time for the post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, Taskmaster is talking to someone on a computer. "Sir, is there any ways to attack S.H.I.E.L.D.?" he asks. "It's not just S.H.I.E.L.D. we're attacking, it's also their team," says Baron Zemo. "What's their team?" asks Taskmaster. We're going to attack the Avengers and brainwash their leader, says Baron Zemo. And that was Hawkeye. And now it's time for the next movie. The sixth product in Phase 2 is called The Incredible Hulk. The movie is an adaptation to the Hulk vs. Wolverine comic book. And Wolverine and Hulk will both fight for the first time, but then they realize they have to work together to stop a villain. The main villain in this movie is the leader. And Hulk and Wolverine fight the leader, and before the leader was gonna kill the Hulk, Wolverine jumps up and slices the leader, and then the Hulk throws the leader to outer space, causing him to die of breathing problems, and then they go back to Earth. And Hulk and Wolverine suggest that they should do this more often. And then Wolverine leaves, and Hulk goes back to the Avengers. And that was the Incredible Hulk, and no post-credit scene. The seventh product in Phase 2 is called Daredevil. It could be like the director's cut of the Ben Affleck's Daredevil movie and the TV show on Netflix mixed together. The Punisher will make a cameo appearance in the movie with Daredevil and him fighting, but he'll return in the next movie. And that's where Daredevil meets Elektra for the first time, and they both fought, but they realize they have to work together to stop the evil, corrupted mayor, who is roaming around in New York City. The true main villain will be Bullseye, while the side villain in this movie will be Kingpin. And Daredevil and Elektra both fight Bullseye, and Bullseye is defeated and arrested. And then they go to the mayor's office to fight Kingpin. Kingpin was so powerful and strong that he gets arrested by the police for major assault. And Kingpin gets arrested. And the day is saved. And the movie ends with Daredevil and Elektra going their separate ways for a little while. And now it's time for the post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, Nick Fury wants to recruit Daredevil in the Avengers. You must be Matt Murdock, right? Asks Nick Fury. Yeah, why? Asks Matt Murdock. Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative. Would you like to join the team? He asks. Maybe one day. Right now we're doing the big threat right now, and I want to introduce to the guys that I hired. Who are the guys? Asks Nick Fury. And that's where we meet for the first time Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, the Iron Fist, and, surprise, the Punisher. Nick Fury smiles and says, "Wow, I like that team of yours." And now it's time for the next movie. The eighth product in Phase 2 is called Ant-Man Quantumania. It would be like Ant-Man Wasp Quantumania, but everything will be not rushed at all, especially MODOK. Speaking of MODOK, the main villain in this movie is MODOK. And just like in the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania movie, Scott Lang, Hank Pym, and Hope will get stuck in the Quantumania. As Kang the Conqueror watches just Hank Pym beating up MODOK, Kang the Conqueror blasts Hank Pym with his beams, causing Hank Pym to get injured by the beams, and the team escape from the Quantumania. Then Scott Lang thought Hank Pym was going to make it, but Hank Pym passed away, and yeah, Hank Pym died in the movie. And Scott Lang claims Hank Pym's old suit. And that was Ant-Man Quantumania. Post-credit scene. Back in the Quantumania, Kang the Conqueror is talking to himself about the whole villain and trying to defeat the Avengers thing. The Accursive and MODOK have failed me. Soon, one day, I will get the heck out of the Quantumania and defeat them myself. And now it's time for the next movie. The ninth product in Phase 2 is called Avengers Hail Hydra. Boy. I have a lot of plans for this movie. The movie kickstarts Captain America going on a solo mission to fight Baron Zemo. In a clash between Captain America vs. Baron Zemo, the Taskmaster tranquilize Captain America, planning on what to do with Captain America next. The next day, the Avengers are going to go find Captain America so they can go save him. As second in command of the Avengers, Iron Man leads the Avengers to help them find Captain America. Baron Zemo and Hydra plan on their attack on New York City. Then they stumble upon a brainwashed Captain America named Captain Hydra. All of the Avengers were shocked to see Captain America working with Hydra. And that's where the Avengers meet Hawkeye for the first time, while he was fighting Captain Hydra. Back at Avengers Tower, Hawkeye explains everything about Hydra, about how they mind-controlled Captain America. And that's when somehow Bucky Barnes came to Avengers Tower and explained how Hydra mind-controlled him and how is he still alive today. And the Avengers' new mission will be defeating Hydra and putting Captain America back on the good side. While the Avengers are fighting Hydra, the Winter Soldier and Captain Hydra both have a one-on-one duel. Hawkeye was fighting Taskmaster because Taskmaster betrayed him so he can fight New York and the Avengers. After the Avengers just broke Baron Zemo's bones, like his leg bones, the Avengers just helped Captain America out by making him remember the things what they've been through over the years. And Steve Rogers realizes what he has done and what they've been through. Steve Rogers is now a good guy again. As Baron Zemo was crawling to something, he has his biggest weapon for the Avengers and pushes the button. As the chamber breaks, the man busts down the tube and stands up, revealing to be Ultron. How Baron Zemo planned that secret weapon all along is that he stole a blueprint from Hank Pym while he was spying on them. So that's how he was able to create Ultron. Then Ultron kills Baron Zemo, and then he attacks the Avengers. All of the Avengers try to jump Ultron, but Ultron was way too powerful, and he jumps the Avengers. Then Ant-Man has a plan. If he can go in Ultron's body and hack his systems, Ultron will be a little bit weak. And the Avengers agree, and Ant-Man goes super small so he can get inside of Ultron. Then Bucky Barnes also has a plan. If he can put bombs around Hydra Tower will explode. And just like Ant-Man's plan, the Avengers agreed. While Ultron was not looking, Ant-Man climbs on Ultron and jumps in his body. Meanwhile, Bucky Barnes is putting bombs around Hydra Tower. While Ultron was fighting the Avengers, he feels something. Someone jumps out of his body, causing himself to now function, and then he passes out. While Ultron was going to hurt the Avengers jumped out of the tower, while Bucky Barnes was still in it, going to blow up the Hydra Tower, jumping off, causing it to explode along with Ultron. And just like that, the Avengers won. After the Avengers won, Bucky Barnes was asked to join the Avengers, but he doesn't know yet, so he leaves, and walks away. And the Avengers were okay with it. And the movie ends with the Avengers throwing a party after defeating Ultron. And that was Avengers Hail Hydra. Post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, everyone from S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting ready to go home after the big party after defeating Ultron. Meanwhile, Nick Fury is at his room packing his bags to go home. Then the TV turns on automatically, and when Nick Fury looks at the TV, he sees a demon-like monster and God. Nick Fury looks at it and says, "What the heck is that?" And that was Avengers Hail Hydra. And now it's time for the next movie. The 10th product in Phase 2 is called X2, X-Men United. It could be like the first X-Men movie from 2000 and X-Men 2, X-Men United from 2003 mixed together. Wolverine returns and Gambit and Rogue will be in the movie. The main villain in this movie is Magneto. And the main focus in this movie would be Cyclops, because Wolverine became the main focus in the first X-Men movie back in 2000. And the X-Men capture Magneto and his mutants and arrested them and took their powers. And the X-Men have a celebration, and Wolverine leaves just like he did in the first X-Men movie. And that was X2, X-Men United, and no post-credit scene. The 11th product in Phase 2 is called Iron Man 3. The movie is an adaptation to the Armor Wars comic book, and also, the Punisher and Spider-Man will be in the movie. The main villain in this movie is Crimson Dynamo, while the side villain in this movie is Whiplash. As Spider-Man and the Punisher were fighting Whiplash, War Machine and Iron Man were fighting Crimson Dynamo. After War Machine and Iron Man both killed Crimson Dynamo, they go find the Punisher and Spider-Man. Before the Punisher was going to kill Whiplash, Spider-Man suggests that they send him to jail, and Iron Man and War Machine both agree. And the Punisher hesitates and agrees too. And Whiplash is now in jail. And the Punisher was asked to join the Avengers, but he says no, and flies away with his new mech suit. And the movie ends with the armor team going to go get some coffee. And that was Iron Man 3, and no post-credit scene yet again. The final product for Phase 2 is called Avengers vs. X-Men. And no, this is not Avengers 3 or X-Men 3, that's just a crossover event. Captain America will see Wolverine again, then he says, "Hey, I remember you. We fought with Thor together. Remember Bucky?" Then Wolverine says, "Yeah, whatever, bub. I'll remember whoever I want." And yes, the Avengers and the X-Men will both fight in the movie, and then they realize they have to team up to stop a big bad. The main villain in this movie is Apocalypse. The movie will have a few X-Men Apocalypse scenes, and also, Apocalypse won't be short and scrawny. Instead, he will be big and buff. As the Avengers and the X-Men are trying to defeat Apocalypse, Apocalypse was way too powerful that he kills some of the X-Men and a few members of S.H.I.E.L.D. Then the Avengers and the X-Men have an ultimate plan. They're going to defeat Apocalypse by the power of friendship. So the Avengers and the X-Men defeat Apocalypse by the power of friendship. And Apocalypse is defeated. The Avengers and the X-Men both have a conversation that they'll team up again in the next fight. So the X-Men and the Avengers go their separate ways for a little while. And that was the Avengers vs. X-Men. And you get your two post-credit scenes again. In the post-credit scene, Jean Grey realizes a Phoenix was inside her after they defeat Apocalypse by the power of friendship, teasing a third X-Men movie. And now it's time for the second post-credit scene. In the post-credit scene, General Ross is feeling mad about what happened with Wolverine knocking the Hulk. "Wolverine failed me. He had one job, and it was to kill the Incredible Hulk, not keep him alive. I'm going to turn myself into a Hulk and kill him myself." And that was Avengers vs. X-Men. Ooh, that was a lot of cinematic movies that I had to do when it came to me making in Phase 2 of What If Marvel Never Sold Its Rights. In my Anime Cinematic Universe video, it was longer than Phase 1 of my Anime Cinematic Universe, and in Phase 2 of my better structured DCEU, it was a little bit short, but Phase 1 was longer than Phase 2. If we get some views, which I don't care how many views I get, or a couple of likes, which I don't care how many likes I get, well, might do What If Marvel Never Sold Its Rights Phase 3. That's it for this video. Peace!